So starting off with your warm dominant to create our painting, I'm just going to kind of very quickly go through the kind of colours that you might use. So the cadmium yellow is actually quite a warm yellow. Paired that together with the cadmium red, which is a warm kind of red, and then we've also got the warm blue, which is the French ultramarine, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. And I've also got a burnt sienna and also a burnt umber as well. So both of those are warm as well. And we can use these, as our kind of starting off palette to create the first painting. Okay, so let's do exercise 1, which is the warm dominant. So what we're looking to achieve is the majority of the painting being warm and then one small element being cooler, just to kind of get a little bit of a balance within the painting. And I'm mainly going to be working from the black and white picture so that I don't get any kind of interference from the colour really. So I'm just going to have that to one side, and on my palette, my rather messy palette, I have got my cadmium yellow, cadmium red, a little bit of the burnt umber, burnt sienna. I've got my warm blue, which is the ultramarine blue, and I've got a little bit of alizarin as a kind of another kind of cold red if I kind of need it really. So let's get started. Let's start with the sky first. So I'm going to kind of have a warm kind of sky. So I'm going to start with some yellows. Yellowy, orangey kind of colours. So I'm bringing my... So again, this is a great opportunity for you to all practice your skies again. I'm just going to bring a little bit of my kind of cool pinky kind of colour. And then that will lead me into a slightly kind of cooler blue. And remember, a lot of that is just going to be trees anyway, so don't need to worry about that too much. Okay, that's my sky. Bring a little bit of coolness into here. And then I'll just let that do whatever it's going to do in any case. Oops. Make sure that doesn't move. Sorry, I'll just tape that down. Okay, so now I'm going to start kind of putting in my trees. So remember, I'm going to start thinking about kind of warmer kind of colours now really. So I'm going to start off with mixing up a little bit of a kind of warmer kind of green colour using my my cadmium yellow and my ultramarine. Okay, so let's just start dropping that in. I'll just work my way around the house. got little bits of the house which I know I haven't painted yet, but maybe I'll go ahead and actually just paint the house in next. And so what we've got is the kind of shadow area. So I'm just using my my cadmium red and my ultramarine to mix up a sort of cool kind of shadow colour. Okay, so I'm just going to paint that in first. Okay, so really that's kind of my first layer of colour. I'm not going to worry too much about the windows. I'm not going to worry about any of this kind of bleeding in. But what you can see already is that I've got this lovely sort of warmth here, but it's also balanced with these really sort of cool blues which are in the picture, and I've got them almost kind of like in three areas. I've also got the kind of cool blue which is in the shadows as well, so that kind of creates a really, really lovely balance within the picture already, and I'm sort of quite happy with the way that it's kind of drying. So I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll come back and do stage 2. So this is now nice and dry. I just wanted to kind of bring this back in. So if you look at kind of this end of the spectrum, you can see most of the painting is these lovely kind of like warm tones. So I've got some in the sky, even the greens that I've mixed up are on that kind of warmer end of the spectrum. So my cool colours are these lovely pops of blues, a little bit, do you remember I put a little bit of the alizarin in the sky here, and you can see little bits of that coolness here, you can see that coolness here, and hopefully I'll kind of accentuate it in the shadows in the house. So that's what we're kind of looking for. We're looking for this lovely warmth and then little pops of cool colours. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm just mixing a green, but I'm kind of adding that lovely kind of burnt sienna into it, so it gives it a kind of lovely warm green rather than too much of the blue. So even though it's a warm blue, it still adds a certain element of kind of coldness to the whole painting. Okay, so I'm going to start off on this side here. So this is going to be my sort of darker areas. So if you kind of refer to the black and white, what I'm doing is I'm kind of looking at this area here to start off with. Okay, so the painting is more or less finished, other than doing all the detail on the house, which is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to drop down to a smaller brush and then just start putting in some of the detail of the house, just very, very carefully. So in the kind of darker areas where there is a kind of sort of darker element, darker shadow, I'm going to use more of a sort of blue colour. Okay, so I'm going to do all of those angles first. So this side here is also okay, and the kind of warmer sides I'm going to use a little bit more of a kind of red mix. So can you see the difference? It kind of, it's a really small detail, but I think it really kind of says quite a lot, and it can kind of quite easily be overlooked. Again, I'm just going to repeat that on that side. Maybe just go a little bit darker, brighter with the red. Going a little bit across here on this side. Just going to put that window in. And then it's a lot kind of lighter at the bottom, so so I feel like it needs to go sort of darker, slightly sort of behind the house to kind of really pop it forward. So I'm going to use a little bit more of the blue and the burnt sienna to make a really sort of dark mix. There's something more here. Okay, I think that will do. This is really sort of just an exercise in kind of getting that balance between cooler element and the lovely kind of warmth that you have around it. So the next one that we're going to do is the opposite. So we're going to have a predominantly cool and then a little bit of warmth.